Hi, I'm Craig, and today I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to review this series of books, short stories by Olly Richards. So firstly, what is short stories all about and how does it help you learn a language? Before I start, I'm not sponsored in any way by Olly Richards or the publishers. This is a completely unbiased opinion based on my personal experience with these books. Remember to like and subscribe and feel free to leave a comment. I will also leave a link to Olly Richard's channel in the description below. So this series of books aims to teach you a language by using stories, as you may have expected. But how can you learn by reading? As I've mentioned in another video, comprehensible input is a very efficient way of learning a language. And if you read a lot of very interesting content, then you are more likely to remember what you've read rather than memorising vocabulary lists and grammar rules. Stories are how we have always spread information and entertained ourselves throughout history, talking about myths and legends and trying to explain the world around us. When we were kids, our parents would read to us a lot, and when kids really like a story, they want the same one read an annoying amount of times. They may want you to read a book like this one every single night. And as adults, reading a kid's book can be tedious, but the repetition is extremely helpful in remembering the story and acquiring the language. But you must enjoy the story. So books aimed at kids and as helpful for adults, which is why graded readers come in, just like this book by Olly Richards. This specific book is in Spanish, but they are available in many languages, including English. There are 8 short stories in each book, and they are written with simple grammar and vocabulary, which are repeated throughout the different chapters of the stories. Before we talk about the stories, let's look at the introduction to the book. At the start of the book, there is some information about the author, an introduction to the book, and an explanation of how to read effectively. So he explains that enjoyment and a sense of achievement are very important. The more you read, the more you learn, and it's very important for you to accept that you will not understand everything that you read in these stories. There are a few tips to help you understand some words. Is the word familiar? Maybe you don't know this word, but you are familiar with this word. So you could make the assumption that they are related and guess that this is the past tense of the verb to speak. You could reread the sentence and you may be able to guess the word from context. He recommends reading a chapter at a time and then reread it 2 or 3 times. Each time you read the same chapter, you will notice something new. You could also read the summary of each chapter, which can be found at the end of every chapter. And after the summary, there is a vocab list of all the words that were written in bold with either a translation from your target language to English, or if you are learning English, then there is an explanation of the words. And repetition is key. Like I mentioned earlier, it helps kids learn. So read as much as you can, and if you don't understand something, then reread it. The vocab list is limited, but the book would be too big if it listed every word. There'll be words that are not in the list that you don't know the meaning of, but avoid looking them up unless you absolutely need to in order to understand the main point of the story. So, are these stories interesting? Well, yes, I found them interesting, and I wanted to continue reading to find out what happened next. The first book I bought isn't here now because I gave it to my dad to help him with his Spanish, but this is the book I've read the most, and I understand about 99% or more of the book now. The first story is about a brother and sister who are going on a trip to Spain, the Spanish version, and they go to France in the French version, and so on, and they run into a few problems along the way. The second book story is about a creature in the woods. There's also a story about a mysterious safe. What's inside the safe? And if you like sci-fi, there is also a story about different worlds in conflict. So there is something for everyone. You can also purchase the audiobook, and then you can listen and read, or do both at the same time. Reading and listening at the same time allows you to break apart the words that you hear, so it doesn't sound like just one long word. You can listen while driving, on the bus or the train, and read while at home. After the vocab list, there are comprehension questions in each of the books. Now, I personally don't like comprehension questions. Many people do. Many people like answering the questions to check to see if they've understood what they have read, and they're great. You can answer the questions. You may get it right, you may get it wrong, and then you can go back in the book and check. But for me, I could spend that time reading again rather than answering some questions. So I don't read them. I skip them all the time. Yeah, I'll read a summary. I'll have a look at the vocab list to make sure I understood all those words, and then reread it. Don't spend a lot of time trying to memorize these words. Okay, just look at the words and check what they mean just the once, and then return and read again. You'll see them words, and some of them you'll remember, some you won't, and that is fine. Move on to the next chapter and do the same thing again. When you get to the end of the story, go back to the beginning and reread it. Or check the vocab again. I do have an issue with the intermediate Spanish book, because on the audio there are comprehension questions which I can't skip safely while driving, but in the other books the questions are just in the book. As well as the short stories, Olly has also written a series of books called 101 Conversations. They start the same way with an introduction. The stories are quite different. It explains the characters at the start of the book. Then at the start of each chapter or conversation, it gives you a scenario. And then the rest is dialogue, with two or more people talking using authentic language. So here you can see that at the top there is an introduction that sets the scene. Nuria and Alicia are on vacation in Madrid. They've known each other since university many years ago. Nuria is an art historian, and Alicia is a mystery novel writer. They're in a hotel on the first day of their trip. It's a very hot and sunny day. And then a conversation between two people, in this case Nuria and Alicia. I will translate to English if I can. Good day, Nuria. How did you sleep? Very well. And you? Very well too. What do you want to do today? I'd like to go to a market. Oh, cool. A food market? No, I want to go to an antiquity market. Sounds good. Do you know any? No, I'm going to have a look on my phone. Here's one. It's called Frog Market. What a funny name. Yes, I know. Are they open Saturdays? Yes, they open every Saturday from 10:30. Now it's 11. Perfect. Where is it? It's in the neighbourhood of the Letters, or Las Letras. It's quite far. We should take a taxi. Sounds good. Let's go. So there are 101 of these types of conversations, hence the title of the book, 101 Conversations. I found these books interesting too. It is one story, not 101. There are just 101 chapters, so you follow the same two people throughout the book and meet others along the way. If you're having trouble with certain grammar rules, then he has this covered too, with the 30-day mastery series of books. They're books with 30 chapters, and within the book, just like the short stories, there are some words that are in bold. These words are different depending on the grammar that your book is focusing on. So this one, for example, is irregular verbs. So irregular verbs are written in bold, but one verb per chapter. For example, this is the verb ser in Spanish, or to be in English. So every time any conjugation of this verb is used, it is written in bold. So I am, he is, they are, she was, we were. It is called 30-day mastery because you can read one chapter a day for 30 days and reread the same chapter many times, and then the same with the next chapter the following day. And towards the beginning of the book, there's an introduction, talks about the author, and also tables with grammar rules as well. Here's another type of book as well called Topics That Matter. These are non-fiction books that talk about certain topics that you may be interested in and can learn in another language, such as this one, which is World War II. Once again, there is a vocab list at the end of each section, as well as an introduction at the beginning. I only have two of these books, a World War II and Climate Change. The climate change book is actually a fictional story explaining the facts of what climate change is and how it affects us. Overall, would I recommend these books? Yes, absolutely. I did notice a couple of mistakes in the Spanish version of one of the books, but nothing I was concerned about. I had a tutor as well, as I would talk about the book with him, and if I didn't understand something, he could explain it to me. I have bought 10 books by Olly Richard, as well as the audiobooks to go with them, and I also bought the same books for my Kindle, so I can read on the go. All because I find the stories interesting, and they have drastically improved my Spanish, and I'm hoping they will improve my French when I concentrate on that. I have other graded readers too, which are also great books, but these by Olly Richard have helped me the most. Remember that these are available in many languages, so no matter what language you are learning, you could probably find a book to help you. So remember to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see more review videos like this one, then please let me know. Bye for now.